Hello, Sambonani. Welcome back to my channel.
You just have to try harder than you fight. You might be lost like sunshine in the
First of all, I know my lipstick color is shocking. I know, I get it, okay? I just figured I bought this. I never wear it. Why not? I would like to start by apologizing. I am sorry that I've been MIA. Wow, it's been a while since I uploaded a video. It seems like I upload a video once a month, which is not supposed to be happening, but it keeps happening. But nonetheless, the girl will try and be consistent with you, my people. I'll try to be as consistent as possible because I want to keep y'all informed, you know? And on today's video, I'll be talking about some of the hardest things that I've gone through as an English teacher abroad, teaching in a foreign country, what I've experienced. And if you are also teaching English, whether it's in Vietnam, Thailand, China, or any other country out there, please do leave a comment in the comment section and tell me what your experience is like in those particular countries. And also follow me on Instagram if you're curious to see what my life here in Korea is like. And be sure to shoot me a DM on my Insta. I always respond. I'm always keen to help. If you want to ask me about being an au pair in America, or if you want to ask me about being a teacher in Korea, I have a couple of videos on my channel that talk about, you know, how to become a teacher in Korea, or questions for your interview for the top program and things like that. So just go through the channel and you will find all the relevant videos for you. But without any further ado, let's jump into today's video. Say what I find difficult about teaching abroad, specifically Korea, because it's the only country I've ever only taught in, right? First things first, language. Language is a problem, guys. In and outside of school, language is a real serious proper problem. Like, if you're trying to communicate with someone and you both don't understand each other, trust me, there's gonna be a problem somewhere. There might be a misunderstanding, miscommunication here and there, and it just, guys, it's a lot. Like, it's so hard, especially if you are a foreign teacher like in Korea and you don't speak very good Korean at all, and you have to communicate with your students and you're like a solo teacher, you don't have a co-teacher. That can be one of the hardest things. Like, trying to explain an activity can take a while. Trying to explain a game can take a while because you're trying to say something and nobody's really understanding. But of course, there will always be that one student or maybe those two students in your class that will have a little bit of a higher English level. And as you explain and as they get it, they'll be like, Yandra! And they start explaining to the rest of the class what you're saying, which helps. But sometimes even they don't really understand what you're trying to say. And everybody's like, teacher, huh? And then you take your phone, you decide, let me use the translation app, and then it translates to them things that don't even make sense. The next thing, you spend 20 minutes trying to explain one activity. It can be hard, it can be tricky, and it wastes a lot of time you trying to explain something that the kids are not receiving. So it's a lot nicer if you have a co-teacher who will translate. When you say something, they translate, you know, and so on and so forth. So another thing that frustrates me is the whole language thing. When you are, like I said, a solo teacher, you're in class, you're teaching, and for some reason one student starts crying and they're like bawling, and you're like, how do I console this child? You go and you ask, like, are you okay? They're crying, and then you're asking the others, what happened? They're trying to explain, but you have no idea what they're saying. And now you don't want to seem like you don't care. You do care, you know, you want to attend to the situation and solve the situation. The child is crying, you want to console them, but you don't know what to say. You don't know why they're crying. You kind of hug them. Should I even hug you? Is it okay or no? Or should I tell you to go to the home, like your other teacher, so they can talk to you, like, what do I do? So yeah, it can be a little tricky. And if you have experienced this, please tell me down in the comment section how you deal with this, especially if your Mandarin or whatever language, like whatever country you teach in, the language they speak, if your kids don't have like a good English level and you find yourself in that situation, how do you deal with it? How do you handle it? Another thing that frustrates me about Korea is how things are so last minute. I'm like, Koreans live in a different world than the rest of the world. I'm telling you, they are the most last minute country I know. And it's so normal. Like, it's normal to turn up to show up to class ready to teach, and as you walk in, they're like, oh, class cancelled. Like, okay, nobody told me. Nobody tells you these things. They cancel classes last minute. They inform you about things last minute. Like, I remember another teacher from here in Korea who said he showed up to school and he was ready. He had lessons planned and he was ready for the day. 10 minutes before his lesson, they told him, oh, by the way, there's going to be an open class today. You have an open class. Like, oh, I was not prepared for that. What do you mean? So, yeah, that's crazy. Imagine being told you have an open class 10 minutes before your open class. And I will explain what an open class is. There will also be last minute about like classes moving around or, just informing you about things. Sometimes it's very last minute. So it's something, if you're moving to Korea, you need to know that it's a normal thing. At the beginning, it might piss you off, but at some point you need to get used to it. You need to accept it and know that that's how things are done here. You need to be flexible, accept it, and deal with it. Another thing that really frustrated me, this is not particularly just about Korea, but it could happen anyway, but being paid late. Rusa. When it's payday and someone is going to pay you like a week later, like, why? Nobody's paying you a week later. Why are you paying me a week later? Like, give me that money. So yeah, it gets a little frustrating if you find yourself in a situation where your school just, some months they don't pay you or they pay you 2 weeks late. I've heard a lot of people complain about being paid late that work in hagwons. A hagwon is like a private academy, private school in Korea where like it could be a piano school, it could be English, it could be cooking. Another thing that can be really, really frustrating about teaching, I'll say specifically here, when students have different levels. Okay, here's the thing. When you go into your class, some of your students will be like the lowest level. Like, they'll probably only know how to say hello and yeah, that's it. Or maybe a few other words, but ultimately they will have the lowest English level skill. And then you'll have others that do go to English hagwons that have tutors and things like that. So their level tends to be a little higher. And then you'll have like those that are just in the middle. Ne? And then when you're planning a lesson, you need to keep that in mind. Because if you're going to keep everything here, then those students that are here are going to get bored. Because they'll feel like everything is so easy. But again, if you keep things here, the students that are here are going to get confused. Because they'll be like, what is happening? They won't know what's happening. So trying to find a balance between your lesson plan, like trying to accommodate these students and these students can be a little challenging. So I think after a while, after you've gotten here and you've gotten to your school, you start teaching and you kind of get your feet wet, you'll kind of understand how to come up with activities that kind of work for everyone. Another thing that I do not like about teaching in Korea is desk warming. Guys, so what is desk warming, you ask? Desk warming is when, for example, in Korea, school year starts usually in March, like the first week of March. School year will start March, April, May, June. July, there will be a summer break, usually for like a month. Of course, right now with Corona, with Sister Rona, this is not the usual. So things are a little different. But ultimately, summer vacation is between July and like August, September, depending on the school. So during those times, like for the talk program, you only have 7 working days vacation for summer vacation and for winter vacation. So after you've spent your 7 days paid vacation, you still need to go to school. And if you have nothing to do, desk warm. Sit on the desk and keep it warm. Or plan for the next semester or figure out what to do to still complete your 15 hours a week. Some schools really don't care. If they feel like you don't need to come to school, they'll give you more than 7 days vacation because they feel like, what's the point of you coming to school? But yeah, going to desk warm in winter is not fun. I was desk warming the entire February, waking up in the morning, the wee hours of the morning in the cold was not fun. Open class. Guys, so there's this thing here I learned about in Korea. It's called an open class. I've mentioned it earlier. An open class is when you have an audience as you teach. Like it could be your principal, it could be other teachers, it could be parents, it could be people from the educational department. Bona, you could have a proper audience in your class and they just watch how you teach. They sit there watching, imagine teaching kids in front of their parents. Ooh, guys, I've never had an open class. I've been here for 18 months, never had an open class. And usually when you have an open class, they'll tell you like choose which grade you want to teach, which period, whether it's going to be curriculum or after school or things like that. So at least you have that, and you also have to come up with your own lesson plan, or depending on, of course, the lesson you chose and whatever. I hope I make sense. The point is, open classes are nerve-wracking. I know a friend of mine who has done, I think, 3 open classes already, and she says each of those open classes, nobody came, nobody showed up, because sometimes parents are busy, guys. They don't have time to take time off work to come and attend the open class. And now because of Rona, thankfully there are no open classes, and when there is an open class, it's usually just like 4 people in your class watching you, like maybe your mentor teacher and another teacher, your mentor teacher and the principal or whatever. But because we're trying to keep this whole social distancing thing, there's usually less people in class. But know that there's such a thing in Korea as an open class, and one day you could find yourself leading an open class. Another thing that sometimes happen is like a random student will rock up to your class. Like, who are you, child? Especially the after school classes. So you know, okay, today this is a grade 5 class. I have 7 students for the after school class. And then suddenly there's like 1 extra child in your class. Like, I only prepared for 7 students. Who are you? Why are you here? And they come that day, maybe they even come next week. From there, they don't show up again for like 3 months. Suddenly they show up, suddenly they don't. And you're like, what's the deal here? You know, or sometimes kids just don't show up. I've never had that experience, but I know a friend of mine who says, look, I will just sit there and watch. Are they coming? Are they not? Sometimes she'll just sit there and wait. And guess what? Bahambi levantwana, they left. Is that correct? Like they went home. And yeah, I've never experienced students not showing up. I've experienced a few times random students showing up, but ultimately it does happen sometimes where some students don't sign up for your class, but one day they just show up because maybe their class was cancelled, so they figured I'll just go to English. But sometimes things like this happen. You'll find yourself in a situation that's not very favorable, but if you find yourself in that situation, just be flexible, guys. Learn to move with it. Learn to make it work. Don't let such things deter you. Don't let them break you. Don't let them irritate you so much that you decide to leave and go home. Just deal with it. It will pass. You will be fine. Korea is great. If you are thinking of coming, come to Korea. Let's do this whole Korea thing together. And once again, thank you so much for watching. Let's chit chat on Instagram. I am K2Tiara. Let's chit chat on Twitter. I am also K2Tiara there. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Give this video thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comment section. And do check out my channel, other videos on my channel about what I've been talking about. Because you believe me, trust me, that there will be a video that you will find very relevant for you. So check it out. It's all love from moi to you.